Hey guys, welcome back to Fix It Friday, the weekly YouTube series where we talk about video game console mods, repairs, and restorations. And this week we have something rather unique. It's a Frogger handheld arcade made by Coleco, and it's the actual game licensed by Sega. And these were very popular in the 80s. There were a whole bunch of little mini arcades like this released, like Donkey Kong and Frogger here. It's pretty hard to find these nowadays out in the wild, and when you do, a lot of times they're pretty beat up and usually irreparably damaged. But as you can see, this guy is like exceptional. It's in really clean, good condition. And it does mostly work, but it is having some issues where it doesn't stay powered continuously. And so this week what we're going to do is take one of these apart, and this will be my first time doing that, and try to get a feel for how it works, and we'll see what we can do to get it working properly. All right, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to take a quick look at this Frogger game and give you guys an idea of what kind of problems it's having. So, for starters, you can take a look. The cosmetics of this thing is great. It's really clean, excellent looking condition. But let me show you what happens when we start up a game. So I don't know if you can see that the flashes a little bit. So right now it's looking good. All the game elements are there, and it should control just fine. Yeah, so it's working right now, but if I maybe shift it a little bit, or so you see I just lost power there or you see it's kind of fading a bit. So to me it looks like something mechanically wrong. Like right now, yeah, the game didn't quite cut out, but the screen fades a bit, and so I think it's the battery compartment, but I haven't figured it out yet. I'm gonna open it up and take a look. Okay, so on the bottom of this game you have 5 different screws that need to be removed. So here, 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 and then 2 all the way here in the back, just with a Phillips screwdriver. And then at that point it pretty much comes off. It's I think just hooked on by these little hinges here. Okay, so it took me quite a bit of effort to get the case disassembled, and it had to do with some hooks, these plastic hooks that were kind of up here and keep the bottom locked into place, and so it just needed a decent amount of effort to get that separated. But once it was separated, it finally came off. And so I just figured I'd give you guys a tour of the insides of this thing before I actually start taking a look at it and seeing what might be the cause of the problem. So basically on the right hand side here you have a really tiny piezo speaker, and then it looks like it's attached to a plastic cone. And I think that plastic cone amplifies the piezo, so it allowed them to use a cheap speaker, but get nice loud sound at the same time. So very, very clever. These 2 wires here are what go to the speaker. The red here is for the positive for the battery. The black here is for the ground. And overall, I mean, it looks just as clean on the inside so far as it does on the outside. So, I mean, that's a really good sign. I have a feeling that the only problem here was related to the battery and maybe just inconsistent connection on the battery terminals, because I already resoldered these 2 to make sure that they were nice and steady. They looked a little bit flimsy. They were like half off when I was removing the case. I could already tell. So it might have been as simple as just resoldering these connections. But we're going to take it apart some more, and I'll be back in a second with a look at the top of it. Okay, so I took care of removing the remaining screws. I didn't bother filming that because, again, it's just a bunch of Phillips screwdrivers. Phillips screws, so it's pretty easy. So this is what it looks like on the inside. It's actually really cool. You have components here on this end, and then on the other end is all the, actual, so it's a single-sided PCB, so all the connections between the components are here, and the actual component side is up here. So this type of a display is called a vacuum fluorescent display. So these were really unique and creative ways of getting around the size limitations. So back in the 80s, their options really were to use something like a CRT or this type of a display. And a CRT obviously wasn't going to work. Those are much larger and also would have been a lot more expensive. But with this vacuum fluorescent display, they were able to show the entire game. And you can see on the screen that you have these colored films that are put on top, and so that's what gives the game some of its color. You'll also notice that on each cell there's basically every possible combination of option that's available for the game. So basically, this is similar to a Tiger handheld electronic game, or where like certain parts of the screen get illuminated. But then, if you look at the screen like this, you can see all the possible combinations that are available. So yeah, just like the other side, I really don't see any kind of issues here. I think what I might do, because I have it available and because these capacitors are rather old, I'm gonna go ahead and replace these 3 capacitors because again, it's easy to do now that I'm here, and they are old, and they probably will fail if they haven't already. And then from there, I'm going to just kind of clean it up and just kind of see what happens when I reassemble it. It might have just been as simple as having a loose battery cable connection over here. Maybe these capacitors, but again, maybe not. I might be just doing that as a preventative maintenance measure here at this point. All right, so we'll be back in a second, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I have just put in some C batteries, and I just am giving it a quick test, and looks like everything is working, but it still occasionally does get issues with the power, like if I wiggle around stuff a bit. So I don't know. I'm gonna start looking at things like the switch and the reset button, because if they're dirty on the inside, then they're going to have intermittent connection issues. I'm also going to reflow everything on the switch and the reset button too, because that again might also have something to do with the problem. So I'm going to try that out, and let's see how that goes. Okay, so I've got it to a pretty good place now where the image is far more consistent and stable, and the only thing that's really going to disrupt it is if I give it a really good shake or dislodge the battery somehow, which is, again, not a fault of the components. It's just to do with loose connections on the batteries, and that's unavoidable. But yeah, let me give you a quick walkthrough of how the game works. So you've got like a skill set here. You just can go between easy and hard basically. You've got your joystick, and you've got the reset button for starting over. So I'm gonna just start with the easy because this game just kicks my ass, to be quite frank. So yes, you start with just the little jingle that you'd get in the arcade, and then everything lights up. And that's it. Now it's time to go. So you can just basically move your joystick around and do your best to survive. This is really hard to do on camera, but the goal is to get your frogs into those 4 positions up there on the easy level. And then if you're playing hard, which I'll switch over to right now, so this is way more brutal. You've got 6 frogs to get over there, and you've got this other thing in the water which will kill you if you get anywhere near it. So like, see if I go there and now I'm dead. Things move faster, and I think inaction will also kill you as well. So it's, you know, definitely tougher. It's a fun game. Let's see if I can get this guy over there in one piece. He made it. Look at that. Alright guys, so if you like this video, you know what to do. Hit the thumbs up button, and it would be great if you guys could subscribe to the channel. That would be greatly appreciated. And we're going to have more videos like this again next week, so thanks again for watching.